Good morning and welcome to this particular P4PE talk for June 2022. This particular program is anchored on developing entrepreneurial leadership acumen. You will notice in recent times that a lot of startups are beginning to show up, and each of these organizations are beginning to demonstrate and state their claim in the leadership prowess within our environment. I'd like to start this particular conversation today by asking you a soul-searching question. Interestingly, this same question was asked by Mark Twain some years ago. According to Mark, he says that the two most important days in our lives, or in your life, as the case may be, is the day you are born and the day you discover why you were born. This particular information is very instructive because it helps you to find purpose in what you do and why you do that particular work at that point in time. So it's very critical that we appreciate the reason why we are on board a particular journey in life. This particular program is anchored by P4PE Institute. P4PE Institute is a consulting firm based in Lagos, but with operations across 8 other locations. We are focused on bringing cutting-edge solutions within the HR space. In particular, we focus on business growth, organizational development, and HR transformation. It's our dream that someday we are going to be Africa's mid-sized business community growth advisors. As we are passionate, we are professional, and we're excellent in what we do. My name is Joel Omike, and I am going to be anchoring this particular program. In the past 22 years or thereabout, I've had an exciting career serving as a trusted advisor to various businesses and organizations. I am a certified business value builder and also a serial entrepreneur. I'll be sharing experiences gathered across 7 sectors or industries. This will come to table as we discuss. At any point in time, feel free to type a question or share a question or a thought you have in case if you need to engage with this particular session. Also, at the end of the program, you can easily reach out to P4PE Institute, who are the host of this particular talk, and share any thoughts and models you have with them, or in case if you have some feedback, they will most welcome to take that particular information. Okay, so the premise of our conversation on entrepreneurial leadership simply says that entrepreneurial leadership will accelerate achievement of organizational goals and also enhance organizational performance. So what we promise by means of this particular program is that the goals of organizations will be easily achieved, and also we shall enhance performance of that particular organization if we focus on entrepreneurial leadership. Are there evidence for what we just said? Well, at one time or another, all successful organizations were once upon a time a startup venture. Today, new ventures start up a lot, and most of them are struggling to succeed. So new ventures must surpass the adults hurdle. There's a mortality rate of 75% of every startup within our environment. And new venture success is largely dependent on entrepreneurial leadership. And if you feel that this is impeccable logic does not convince you, I'd like to share with you the pictures of my collection. I have the following pictures, and please confirm if what do you know that each of these people have in common? What do each of these individuals, about 12 of them or 13 of them in this particular picture, what exactly do they have in common? From Bill Gates to Tony Olumelu to Mark Zuckerberg to Dangote, as the case may be, to Bella Naija, All right. All these individuals have staked their claim in terms of leadership and growth in organizations. So entrepreneurial leadership starts with having an entrepreneurial mindset. These individuals have demonstrated by their mindset and what they pursue that success is possible from an entrepreneurial point of view. And each of them are leading their own industry in ensuring growth and diversity. This particular session today is focused on leading leadership. Leadership skills are critical in the value creation process of successfully bringing in new ventures to life. You will examine the relationship between entrepreneurship, value creation, and entrepreneurial's role in driving innovation in this particular program. And the skills you walk away with here will help you to facilitate further development. So you will appreciate the discipline of leadership, all right, and entrepreneurship at the end of this program. You acquire skills that will help you to achieve this. In the course of this particular webinar, we shall cover strategic growth. We shall look at innovation management. We'll look at return on leadership. And then we'll see how to develop entrepreneurial leadership skills. And then finally, we'll look at entrepreneurial leader profiling. So these are our thoughts and these are the perspectives we're going to go through today. Feel free to share your thoughts and ask questions down the line using the chat box system. Let's introduce the program properly. But first, what exactly do we mean by entrepreneurship? What do we mean by leadership? Because before we look at how to develop this particular acumen, it's important that we understand exactly what those two mean. For the sake of simplicity, I will define entrepreneurship or an entrepreneur as an individual who owns a firm, who owns a venture or a business enterprise, and that particular individual is responsible for the development of the enterprise. So I'm not referring to those entrepreneurs who say they are investors. So I brought money, hence I'm an entrepreneur. No, I'm looking at the entrepreneur who is in that particular business, the owner of that particular business, who is working within that business and is ensuring the growth, the development of that particular organization. By extension, entrepreneurship is the practice of starting a new enterprise or reviving an existing enterprise that is declining already in order to capitalize on newfound opportunities in the landscape at that point in time. There are 6 dominant traits or themes for successful entrepreneurs. These particular traits make it easy for us to quickly identify entrepreneurs or business organizations that are demonstrating leadership and growth at that point in time. So we can easily work with these particular institutions successfully. And I'm going to share them with you, all of them one by one, so you can appreciate exactly what we mean by these particular institutions. So what makes them uniquely different? What are the 6 things that define these particular institutions? Well, here are the 6 dominant themes of successful entrepreneurs. Most successful entrepreneurs, you can see clear leadership in that particular organization. You also see that they are extremely dedicated and committed to the target audience, to their employees, to the product and service and the solution they are bringing to the market. They are also obsessed about the solution they are bringing in, the opportunity which they have found that they are building on. Consider the case of Uber, what Uber did with their platform when they came out initially. See what Facebook is currently doing with respect to the metaverse platform that it has built. Or see what Jeff Bezos is also doing in his own particular space. So each individual, you'll notice, is driving very hard to ensure that he produces as much results as possible in that area. Number 4, in terms of the 6 themes, is their level of tolerance for risk, for ambiguity and uncertainty is very high compared to the average entrepreneur, the average worker in organization. All right? Their creativity and self-reliance and ability to adapt is also extremely high at that point in time. Muffins, it will be okay if you can if you can chat, so I can take the questions down the line. And then motivation to excel. You see that they are highly motivated, they are highly driven, they are motivated to do what they want to do. Yes, Martins. Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure the admin will read that and respond.
Hello, sir.
All right, they will respond to you.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, Martins, I've responded. They will attend to your case.
Okay, because I joined with my I want to join with my laptop. I'm using.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So the next conversation is on leadership and the leader and leadership. A leader, for me, is defined as someone who can influence others and has managerial authority, either directly or indirectly, over that particular individual. While leadership, on the other hand, is influencing or motivating people to act or to be towards the achievement of a common goal at that point. And that exactly is what leadership is about. So I have a few food for thought for you here. The first food for thought says, an entrepreneur who starts his own business or her own business generally does so because that individual is a difficult employee. If you look at the profile of most entrepreneurs who were working before and started their own business, there's always a dissatisfaction that they didn't like their organization, they didn't like their manager, they felt they can do things better. So most times people who start entrepreneurial programs are difficult employees. This is my thinking, right? For you to verify and also to confirm. He probably finds it difficult to be in the alternating, dominant, and then submissive role so often demanded by management of him. And he also believes that he can do the job better than others, which may be true or may be false at that point in time. He must find a way of working with and through others if the business he has is going to grow. Because this is one of the reasons why 75% of businesses fail. People get into that business thinking that they can do the part of the job that they are doing in their organization better than their organization and their manager. And so they start up a business, only to notice that the part of the business that they are doing is just one part of the entire puzzle that makes up an enterprise. And so they struggle down the line at that point in time. So, and here is the person must start to make a transition from being a mere entrepreneur to a leader of an enterprise at that point in time. So there is a difference between starting a business and running a business once the business has matured. Starting a business can be random. It can be VUCA, right? With a lot of uncertainty. And then you chase everything around just to ensure that the business is running at that point in time. But once the business begins to play to and mature, right, you need a different personality. You need a leader to be able to transform that entrepreneurial project into a sustainable business at that point in time. Now, how important are leaders when it comes to entrepreneurial businesses? In reality, the capacity utilization, if I may use that particular expression, the capacity utilization that you'll find in some organizations is usually at 60%. The capacity utilization is usually at 60% for most individuals who are working without a leader. So their capacity utilization is technically 60%. However, this particular capacity utilization can be improved upon. It can be improved upon once we introduce a leader along with them at that point. So the default contributions due to the need to get a job done, the default contribution because of the peer pressure you're receiving from your colleagues, as it were at that point in time, right, is what we refer to as 60%. However, when we introduce a leader at that point in time, the default contribution instantly grows, and then you're able to achieve the other 60%. So in most cases, people will perform at about 60% of their potential when they are working without a leader, no leadership. But once there is a leader on board at that point, the leader will stretch them by an additional 40% so that they can realize their full potential at that point in time, so that they can achieve their capacity utilization. Now, this is no easy task to be achieved by the leader, because sometimes the leader may find it a bit difficult to be able to achieve this. It is, again, subject to the person's willingness to be led, right? To be led, and in order to achieve the potential that has been defined at this point in time by the system. So entrepreneurial leadership is where the entrepreneur is about to systematic and purposeful development of leadership skills and technical skills, which can take a long time to achieve. By definition, entrepreneurial leadership refers to the systematic and purposeful development of leadership skills and techniques that can take a long time. It's about developing relationships, right? Developing relationships. It's also about creating long-term sustainable advantage, based upon which the entire enterprise can become successful and achieve results at that point in time. Okay, and this is obvious at that point in time. Yes, Martins, these are based on research. This information is based on research. Now, what is the role of the entrepreneur as a leader? Successful entrepreneurs are usually patient leaders. They are capable of instilling in others their vision and managing that particular perception over the long haul, as the case may be. So part of the elements of a, so to speak, an entrepreneurial leader is one who is able to have a vision, right? And this particular vision that he has, he can share that particular vision, being able to undertake long-term strategic planning projects and initiatives in the organization in order to get to the organization to the level that he expects the organization to be at that point in time. Being able to communicate effectively, create an appropriate culture within the organization, then monitor and control performance within the organization. Have the courage to delegate responsibility and step aside and allow his team to do a great job. These are part of what it takes to be an entrepreneurial leader, as the case may be. So that this having your own vision is relatively easy. But see, building that vision in other people is not easy. The challenge for an entrepreneur is to come that contractual employee that has signed offer letter that says my work is 40 hours a week. I come to work by 8 o'clock in the morning. I close 5 o'clock in the evening. I do that every day. Take my salary at the end of 30 days. The challenge of the entrepreneur is to convert that thinking, the mindset of that an employee, into an economic entity, into a committed member to the purpose of the organization. These are some employees, come in or come shine. They just focus on what side of the bread is buttered for them. If they feel that they are not getting what they expect at that point in time, they resign and move on at that point in time. So it takes a really entrepreneurial leader to be able to convert that mindset or to create that mindset within his team members and achieve the kind of results he expects to be able to achieve with them at that point in time. So the primary role of the good entrepreneur is to build the architecture, of the enterprise in such a way that everybody plugs into different routes, different compartments at that point in time. This particular architecture creates within the organization the knowledge and the routine that is required to sweat the opportunity available to it and then become successful. And it is a real valuable asset if it creates competitive advantage, and that competitive advantage can be sustained. Then you know that yes, the organization has been able to achieve some measure of results in that particular area. They have done results in that particular area, as the case may be. Further, let's look at three principles of an entrepreneurial leader. The first principle is that the leader treats others as he would want to be treated. The leader is the kind of person that greets good morning to his team, is the kind of leader that respects his team, that ensures he treats his team members as humans and not like slaves. In turn, these team members that are working with him will find reasons not only to show appreciation, but to treat him also equally the way he has treated them at that point in time in the organization. The second principle of entrepreneurial leadership is that the leader is willing to share the wealth that has been created in that organization with those who contributed to create it at all levels in the organization. It's not just about shareholders and investors, but every stakeholder that has contributed in that particular business, be it suppliers, be it customers, be it employees, everybody who has contributed to that particular wealth, you share the wealth with them at that point. And then finally, the third one, entrepreneurial leadership requires you to give back to the community. It requires you to be able to stop, pause, and share whatever you have built and developed with the community at that point in time. Because the community has allowed you to be, to benefit, to grow, to learn, and establish an enterprise at that point. Now, we know entrepreneurs are usually random in their behavior sometimes, and they do not have leadership skills most times. How can an entrepreneur develop leadership skills? How can he become a leader, as the case may be? Well, there are three ways or three styles an entrepreneur can develop leadership skills. The first way the entrepreneur should do this is by focusing on being a leader and managing the task for which the organization has been set up at that point in time. Be a leader and manage the task that is required in order to achieve that particular result at that point in time. The second one is for the entrepreneur to lead the team members that he is working with, that he has invited to the table to join him and build the enterprise at that point in time. And the third one is for the entrepreneur to be a leader in any situation he finds himself in. So leader and task. The employee-oriented task, right? He must emphasize interpersonal relationships. The production-oriented task, he must emphasize technical and task aspects of the organization. So as a leader, research has found that the leader who are employee-oriented are strongly associated with high productivity and high job satisfaction. If you work with a leader that is strongly related towards being an entrepreneurial, emphasizing interpersonal relationship, you get more results from that particular leader. And this has helped a lot of organizations to achieve success at an earlier stage. 2, the leader could become a leader of a group also. And there are different styles of leading a group. There is participative, there is paternalistic, there is consultative, and there is autocratic. Now, is either the leader leads by authority, where he shows his authority, he uses his authority regularly, where he screams regularly that he is the boss, so listen to him. Or he uses less and less of his authority and seeks for views and opinions of staff at that point in time. On the other hand, the leader can give the group autonomy to make decisions or could take the decisions all alone. Now, where the group has limited autonomy in decision making and they do not take much decision, in that case it is no. And the leader does not use his authority. The leader is most probably leading by a paternalistic way. He is running the shop as if he's a family, as if he's a father to his children, as if he's a mother to his children. And so he's not harsh or intense on the people that he's leading. Flip side, where the group has a lot of autonomy and they can take decisions on their own, and the leader allows them, he doesn't impose his authority, you're going to have a participative group that he is leading. But where the leader imposes his authority and does not allow the group to make decisions, you have an autocratic environment. And then finally, you have a consultative environment where the leader uses his strength and also he allows the group to bring in their strength. The third way of getting this done is the leader and the situation. You must move away from using autocratic to dictatorial styles. You must be adept at using influence, formal influence, informal influence in leading your team members. And then you must be adept at conflict resolution, as the case may be. So these are the various ways a leader should try to be able to ensure that he leads his team successfully at that point in time, so that he can achieve the most results that he expects from his team members at that point in time. So he will be able to achieve the best results he wants for the leader. Now, how about when you are constructing an entrepreneurial culture? The organization must favor, and there are different ways to ensure you have a culture that discriminates between entrepreneurial and administrative. You must discriminate between a culture that is either entrepreneurial or administrative in the way they manage their organization and they drive for results within that particular time. For one thing, organizations that are entrepreneurial usually favor people and empowerment at that point in time. Okay? Then they are also committed and everybody has a personal responsibility. They do the right thing regularly within the organization to ensure that they achieve as much results as possible from that particular organization. Then the value creation through innovation and change, and management are hands-on. They are involved at that point. There is freedom to grow, freedom to fail. And when they fail forward. They improve on themselves and then pay attention as they make progress. They also pay attention to details. All right, thank you. Martin says, can be paternalistic encouraged at any time? Well, it depends on the industry and line of business. There are some line of business where the only way to get results is to continue to encourage the people and ensure that you encourage them regularly, right? And you allow them to do what they do very well. Especially in environments where that are auto-run, that you cannot significantly improve performance or creativity in that environment. Okay, so let's look at different types of leadership quickly. There are four types of leadership. There's managerial and grid. The managerial grid, there's action-centered leadership. There's a situational leadership, and then there's a servant leadership. The managerial grid was introduced by Blake and Mutton, and it distinguishes between managers who have a high concern for completing the task and managers who have a high concern for the people that they lead at that point in time. There is not necessarily a trade-off between these two aspects. The most effective managers combine a high concern for the task and a high concern for the people. These managers realize that the job of a manager is to achieve results through their people as much as possible. And this is the managerial grid. This is what it looks like. You notice that in the managerial grid, there is a high concern for task and for seeing the task done well within the organization at that point in time. And this is exactly what we're seeing being displayed in this particular video text here, where there's a high concern for the task to be delivered upon at that point in time. So there is high concern for task and there is high concern for people. So when it is high concern for people, when you have high concern for people, you are running a country club. High concern for people and low concern for task is a country club that you have. When you have high task and no people concerned is authoritarian. You are impoverished. When you neither have a country club, you are authoritarian. And then there is team leadership in this particular case at this point in time in the organization. So this is an example of how this particular model runs within the organization as much as possible. Okay. Now, if you check very well in this particular model, you see that a leader can choose to be much more professional by focusing on task and at people also at the same time. The second type of leadership is one that John Adher recommended in his model of leadership that he called the action-centered leader. Rather than the characteristics they need to display, he looks at what an effective leader needs to do and not the traits he should have or what he should need to display. He said an effective leader must address three areas: task, team, and individual. These three areas must be balanced in the leader trying to lead the team and the organization. So individuals working as a team achieve the task. This is what this particular model speaks to. That individuals who are working together as a team tend to achieve the task as much as possible. So an effective leader needs to allocate time to meet the individual needs of each member in the organization. We need to keep the group working together and ensure that the task is completed and that the task is completed successfully at that point in time in the organization. This is the only way the leader can ensure that he achieves the kind of results he wants to achieve. The third one is what is called the situational leadership. And in the situational leadership, it is asking the question. You need to lead a team effectively. You need to vary your style from one situation to another situation, depending on what you find in the field, depending on what you see in the field at that point in time. Being able to vary your style of leadership from one section to another section will make it easier for you to be able to reach out and achieve the result that the leader can achieve at that point in time. What is expected of the leader in being able to be situational? He must direct the task, and in directing the task, he must give specific instructions and keep close supervision over his team members. It's not enough to say, I have given him the work, and he come and wait until when the result is brought. Periodically, you must visit to check and ensure that the job is being done according to the way you allocated it. 2, the leader must also coach by explaining his decisions, by seeking ideas from his team members, and then supporting the progress the team members are making at that point. He must support, that is, encourage the staff and share decisions. And then he must delegate, give responsibility and freedom for staff to do the task on their own terms and do it very well. The challenge for the leader in doing this is that sometimes the team members may not be ready to take on this level of responsibility, and he may end up shooting himself on the foot. Yes, a leader can end up shooting himself on the foot when he does this like this. All right. The 4th one is the servant leadership. A true leadership emerges from those whose primary motivation is a deep desire to help others. Some people are sincerely focused on helping others, while others are doing it because of what they will gain, what they need from me. They say is a tit for tat relationship. All right. If I know what I'm going to get from the relationship, then I can commit to that particular relationship at that point in time. If not so, I will not commit. I will not commit at all to that particular relationship. This is also similar to what Stephen Covey said. He said that the role of the manager has changed from one who has driven results and motivation from the outside to one who seeks to draw out results, inspire results, and develop the best from their people. This involves them enabling them to be driven by an inner motivation towards achieving a common purpose. And that's the way the focus is at that point in time. So that's the expectation of the different types of leadership. Now let's look at innovation management. In this particular section, we shall look at creativity, we shall look at innovation, we understand what innovation means and why managers should pay attention to innovation. Well, innovation and entrepreneurship. Innovation is a product, process, service, or technology or idea that is ready and available to the market, government, and society. Innovation can actually be physical. And so a physical innovation is an innovation that caters to the market and is successfully accepted to consumers. That would be a good innovation. So a product that is brought to the market is an innovation. It can also be non-physical. For example, a service, a business process, all right? That's a technique that is used to improve certain things in the market. Then there is innovation as a tool for entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs must use any of this innovation, either a physical product or a process, in order to lead the market that they find themselves in order to drive for results in various markets where they find themselves in at that point in time, so that they can achieve success in their innovative drive, in what they are innovating at that point in time. So A, creates, operates, and assume the risk of a new business enterprise. B, is a self-employed person with a tolerance for risk inherent in providing for his own economic well-being. C, Schumpeter said that they are considered an entrepreneur as an innovator. So an entrepreneur is an innovator. And then we see that the entrepreneur, to be a person who possesses managerial skills, must create and develop a new business enterprise. So these four views, right, expressed above, present an entrepreneur as an innovator and establisher of a new scale business. Hence, for you to become an entrepreneur, you just have to have some business ideas and innovation in you. You must have some business idea and some innovation in you at that point in time, so you can do this very well. Now, what are some of the ways that you can encourage innovation in your team? How do managers encourage innovation in the team? Well, here are a couple of things, about 11 things you can do to encourage innovation. Give employees a reason to care. Let them care for the customer. Let them think about the customer. Do what you can to remove the red tape, the bureaucracy in organization. Then calm the naysayers. Calm the naysayers, those who are always talking and talking and complaining, as the case may be in the organization. Calm them, all right, and ensure that you get them to deliver on expected results within the organization at that point in time. Then do what you can to minimize your own stress level so you're not overstressed. Rethink competition, make preventing burnout a priority, and then set a good example. If you do this, you will drive for innovation very, very well. So how do you develop an innovative mindset? To develop an innovative mindset, you have to maintain a keen sense of curiosity. You have to jot down ideas and thoughts about that side. Okay? And then seek out new experiences. Then practice mindfulness. Take risks and make mistakes. Then share your ideas as much as possible. Stay persistent. Take solitude rest and solitude breaks. And then build on existing ideas as much as possible. To build on existing ideas as much as possible. These are ways you can get these things done and do it very, very well as you innovate. Now let's look at innovation and creativity. Innovation and creativity. Let's look at these two areas. Okay, so let me go back. You want me to explain mindfulness. So mindfulness, right, simply says that you should think about where you are. Be in the zone. Wherever you are, notice your environment. Pay attention to detail. It's in paying attention to detail you see the mistakes or errors or opportunities that you can take advantage of and use it to bet a new enterprise for the organization. You can bring in successful opportunities for the organization at that point in time, so we can all benefit from it. So that's that. So by definition, creativity is thinking new things, and innovation is doing new things. Please note the difference. Creativity is thinking and innovation is doing. That's a way I can use to separate them. Both of them result in new things, right? While creativity is in the thought process, innovation is in the doing part of it at that point in time. So creativity thinks and innovation does. Creativity is the ability for you to develop new ideas, to discover new ways of making things work and making things happen. While innovation, on the other hand, is the ability for you to apply what you have innovated, what you have created, to those examples and case studies in order for you to enhance people's lives or for you to enrich people's life at that point in time. So entrepreneurship is creativity plus innovation. So you note that particular formula at that point in time. Entrepreneurship is innovation and creativity joined together. So that will be entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship is creativity and innovation joined together. You need innovation in order for entrepreneurship to happen. You need creativity for entrepreneurship to happen at that point in time. If any of these juice are lacking, you will not be able to produce the results that you expect to produce at that point in time. Now, from creativity to entrepreneurship, first, at creativity level, you think new things. From that new idea you have developed, you now do it. You now create it. You convert it via innovation to a new product or a new solution. And entrepreneurship is now where you create value in the marketplace from what you have innovated at that point. All right? So that's how you are able to arrive. Entrepreneurship is the result of a disciplined, systematic process of applying both creativity and innovation to achieve results at that point in time. New ideas are much more than just random, disconnected ideas. Entrepreneurs are those who are able to marry the existence of both the new ideas and that particular one. And there are 4 phases. There are 4 phases that you can use to improve your ideas. Phase 1 is your background. What is your knowledge accumulation over the years? Do you read books? Some people don't like reading books. That's why they don't have ideas. They are dry of ideas. People who don't read don't have ideas a lot. Then there's also your professional conferences that you attend. It gives you opportunity to gather ideas, to capture ideas. But if you have the opportunity to talk, to listen, to visit the library, to gist, to have conversations, you have new ideas that keep popping up for you. And then you need to incubate. For any idea that comes to you, you need to sweat it, exercise it, try it, sleep over it, so it can become a better, bigger idea for you at that point in time. Then your idea must resonate, and it's a slow process where you transform your idea into action, so you are able to achieve results that you can use that is sustainable for you at that point in time, based on the idea that you have gathered at that point in time. Then there is evaluation and implementation of the idea that you have. You must be able to evaluate and implement your idea, the prototypes, and then the advice that you give generally. Then the next one is that innovation creates entrepreneurs. So creative entrepreneurs introduce new goods, new services, new methods of production, and new ways of getting things done in the market. They tend to open new markets, and they help the organization when these markets are open in order to produce the kind of results they expect the organization to produce at that point in time. And then they are able to also show that they are delivering all the results as expected of them at that point in time. There are 4 distinct types of innovations that you can run. There is invention. Invention is the birth of a new product, new service, or a new process. There is extension. Extension is the expansion of a product or a service or a process at that point. Then there is duplication, which is defined as the replication of an already existing product, which is called copy and paste. All right? And then finally, there is synthesis. And in synthesis, you tend to combine existing concepts and factors in order to create something new. Just like Uber combined app, technology, and taxi and brought it together, and they created a new system. So that's synthesis. That's an example of synthesis. Or Junior Foods is able to combine the restaurants that we have with logistics, courier, and dispatch, and they brought it together and they created foods that can be delivered to you. Now, on this thing called leadership, what is the return of leadership? That is, what's the value from leadership? Leadership and learning are indispensable, according to John F. Kennedy. Do you agree with this statement? What do you think this means? Leaders must be learned because it is more than telling someone what to do. Leadership is not about telling people what to do. You must encourage, advise, and inspire them. The only you can do this is by becoming learned. Learners must be knowledgeable of their fields and keep up with new information that is coming up in their area. Leaders learn about the wants and the needs of their employees. And then leaders must know where they want to go to, where they want to be at in order to get the results that they want, so they can achieve success at that point in time. So this then means that leadership requires you to have the right competence, the right passion, and the right organizational constituency and need before you can achieve the results that you want. So get out of the blender, as the case may be, and get into the helicopter. See yourself and your organization from a distance and test the moment of truth choices that you make to see whether they are working well for the organization. According to Harvard Business Review, on the book, What to Ask the Person in the Mirror, when you're looking at the mirror and you're interviewing yourself. So there comes a point in your career when the best way to figure out how you're doing is to step back and ask yourself a few questions. Having all the answers is less important than knowing what to ask. Sometimes some people have all the answers, but those who know exactly what to ask will elicit the right answer at that point in time for us to be able to have the kind of results we expect to have in our leadership journey and process at that point in time. I'm going to share a picture with you of some executives. You may not know these people, they have impacted your life more than you think. So oversight lapses, mistakes made by this board, is the board of an organization called Enron. Mistakes they made, right, is currently today, several years, more than 15 years after they have come and gone, is still haunting us today, the mistakes they made. And those are issues of corporate governance, in being able to lead the organization as an entrepreneurial system to deliver results as much as possible. So distributed leadership, on the other hand, requires us to ensure that we are able to build a different breed of leaders in our environments, in our organizations. What does distributed leadership mean? It means that leaders do not create followers. Leaders do not create followers. Rather, leaders create other leaders. So the responsibility of a leader is to ensure that he replicates himself in his team members, that he's able to get them to produce the kind of results he expects them to have produced within the organization at various points in time. Okay, so you can feel free send in your question on the chat box as we continue our conversation. Now, how can we develop these entrepreneurial leadership skills? We must have passion for the business. If you're not passionate for the business, then there is nothing driving you. There's nothing exciting. You must have product and customer focus. Very focused on your product. You must continually improve your product regularly. And you must always ask your customers whether you're serving them well. Listen to the voice of the customer and hear what the customer has to say about you. Sometimes that particular information from the customer is your mirror. That's the mirror that helps you to be able to see what is happening at that point in time so you can achieve better results and then achieve as much great results as possible in the process of what you're doing. Then finally, execution intelligence. You must know all the resources you need and be able to use that particular resource into various activities and convert them to results on behalf of the organization at that point in time. These are requirements. Now, what are some attributes of entrepreneurial leaders? Personal characteristics that make such people better at recognizing business opportunities are things like ensures that they focus on ensuring that always the results they produce is sustainable in the organization. That you can tell that yes, this particular results, we can use it, we can work with it at that point in time. So by definition, opportunity is a favorable set of circumstances that creates the need for a new product or a new service or a new business. That's what an opportunity is. While opportunity recognition is a process of perceiving the possibility of a favorable new business, product, or service at that point in time. There are 4 attributes of this particular thing. 1, prior expertise or experience. What experience do you have? You cannot find opportunity if you don't have experience. 2, cognitive factors. Are you able to think, to contemplate, and come up with solutions to everyday problems? Then 3, social networks. Our social networks refer to how we are able to use our friends, our social connections, people we know, in order to create new solutions in the market at that point in time. And then the last one is creativity. And creativity is asking whether you have new ideas. You can come up with new ideas, all right, on how to do your things as much as possible to generate success. Now, there's a process for recognizing opportunity. For you to recognize opportunity, you must understand your external environment. What is happening around us? What are people struggling with? What are the solutions that people are seeking? Then 2, what are the personal characteristics of the entrepreneur himself? All right. Is he focused on ideas, on solutions, or is he closed? He doesn't listen to suggestions. If he doesn't listen to suggestions, he will not go far because he will not produce the results that he needs at that point in time. Then at the end of the day, you can then have business, product, or service that can address the opportunity gap that you found in your market. Opportunity gap. Opportunity gap refers to the combination of your external trends, personal characteristics that gives rise to business, products, and services. So you can address those particular 3 as much as possible, okay? To be able to achieve the results that you want. The opportunity gap is the difference between what is available and what is possible. It is from this opportunity gap that the entrepreneur can then build on and set up a business that delivers the kind of results that he wants at that point in time. Now, talking about the mindsets, the entrepreneurial mindset. What is an entrepreneurial mindset? It's referring to your locus of control, internal locus of control. Are you able to control your thinking, your emotions, the issues you have, so you can generate good results at that point in time? So that would be an entrepreneurial mindset. Then your tolerance for ambiguity. Do you have a high tolerance for what is not clear? Are you willing to hire people who are smarter than you? Some entrepreneurs do not want to hire anybody that's smarter than them because of inferiority complex. They are afraid. Is there a consistent drive to create, to build, to change things? Then there must be passion for an opportunity. You must be passionate for the opportunity that you're pursuing. You must have a sense of urgency. You must persevere as much as possible and be very resilient in pursuing the goals and the results you want. And then finally, you must be optimistic. Have a sense of humor about yourself at that point in time so you can achieve the best results. Okay, so let's now take our last conversation, which is on measuring self-performance. How do you know when you have arrived? You know, in Nigeria, they say, the person has blown. How do you know somebody has blown? How do you know you yourself that you have arrived and you have blown? What is the definition of blow for you, as the case may be? What is the definition of success for you at that point in time? So when it comes to managing self-performance, right, the leader must require 3 competencies for you to manage your performance very well, all right, and ensure you remain an entrepreneur. 1, statesmanship. 2, entrepreneurship. And then 3, innovation. Statesmanship is your ability to work with other people, your ability to walk through other people and get results done at that point. Some people don't know how to delegate, so they do all the job themselves. They don't know how to work with another person, either because they don't like the person's personality or there are certain things the person does that they don't like at that point in time, so they can't work with that particular individual. The second one here on entrepreneurship, the ability to achieve goals, achieve results, regardless of obstacle. And then finally, innovation, the ability to change, to innovate, to bring new things, generate new ideas that are usable, workable, and they are implemented along the line. So this is an indication that you have or you are managing self. When it comes to self-management, you have to conduct a self-appraisal. Measure yourself across some area. Measure yourself across some area and find out how you're doing in terms of your personality, right? What do you measure at that point in time? Okay, so you measure the various areas that we've spoken about so far. So there's result-based leadership, there's effective leadership, there are attributes and results. Result-based leadership says that leadership is effective if it produces results. So attributes like skills, values, motive, competence, behavior, style, they are good. But on their own, they are not enough. They must translate to results. Results being actions, programs, projects, goals, initiatives, and strategy that you bring to the market at that point in time. And finally, manage your energy. You must manage your energy as much as possible. All right? Time management is really about managing your own energy. What area are you doing well that you are not currently aware of? What are the life areas you most need to concentrate in order to improve in those areas? What is holding you back from being balanced in this particular area? You must identify areas in which you would like to improve and achieve better results at that point in time. So those are examples of what will drive your leadership. So I have a graph here, right? So this graph, if you look at it very well, is a bit tiny, so you'll not be able to see it very well. So let me go to a bigger one. So this graph looks at life's balance at various areas. You must balance various things for you to achieve. One thing you have to balance is community. You must balance community, volunteering, mental balance. How is your mental state? Are you calm? Are you the kind of person that always acts frustrated? Every little thing gets you annoyed, and it becomes glaring obvious to everybody that you're on the edge at that point in time. Physical balance. What's your health status in terms of your physical balance, right? Do you have physical stamina? Are you the type that is always hungry, no energy? Every time you lack glucose, no sugar inside your body. You cannot climb staircase without panting. Then character balance. Are you a predictable person? What kind of character do you have? Will people want to work with you, as the case may be? The relationship balance. Everybody must maintain at least 4 relationships. You must maintain spiritual relationship. You must maintain relationship with your family. You must maintain relationship with your friends. And then you must maintain relationship with yourself. Those 4 are very critical for you at that point in time. Then there is also career balance. Are you balanced with your career? Where are you taking your career to? Are you making progress with your career down the line? How about your financial balance? And then your adventure balance and spiritual balance. A leader who is self-driven, that wants to achieve entrepreneurial growth, must be able to balance these particular items. Rate yourself 1 to 5 on each of these, and then discover what your balance is like. If you rate yourself very well, you will most probably come up with a graph that looks like this. It will show your balance in various areas. So you see the ideal balance here, and then this could be your balance. This is the balance of Shade in a particular program. So it shows you that this balance will help you as much as possible. Okay, we have a question. Victor says, what role does having an alike or otherwise not alike personality play in leadership with a view to results? Okay, so I will request for you to shed more light what you mean by alike or alike personality. Now you must monitor your business. Your business is your person, your career, your family, those 9 things that we mentioned. You must monitor all of them. Are you moving too fast or too slow? Are you moving at a good rate? What would be a good rate for you? Like when we spoke about relationship, all right? How many relationships should you keep? Must you be a popular jingle before you become successful? Is it important that you must have 10 friends? Or at 3, 4, okay. Physical balance. When we spoke about physical balance, is it enough for you to exercise just for 30 minutes every week? Or must you exercise 2 hours every day and look like an athlete? What exactly is good for you? That's what we're asking here. What is good for you? Okay, and are you hitting the red zone or the danger zone? You may need to see a doctor. Now, you also need to maintain your leadership spirit tank. Is your spirit tank empty or is it full? What level are you currently operating on? 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100%? What fills your leadership spirit tank? How full is your spirit tank today, and what has brought you to this particular point when you're feeling so full on your leadership tank? What can you do to improve this particular leadership tank that you have? What will fill your tank and give you fuel for authentic leadership, for authentic growth, so I can continue to achieve results? Remember, the things I said are all perspective. So put it in context so you can know how to respond. Thank you. So it says, hiring or working with people who are like you or having trouble with those who don't have your kind of personality. How much does this play out in the end? These are some considerations and some thoughts you must give. Now, is it important to hire people who are like you? The thing is that hiring people who are like you is that you have less conflict. But the question is, do you feel that your personality is perfect? If your personality is not perfect and there are flaws, in that case, you should not hire people like you. Look for people who have things that you don't have so that they can complement you at that point in time. So what they don't have becomes a compliment for you at that point in time. So those are the things you should look out for with respect to your spirit stand. So that's what I meant. Okay, so the thoughts we have shared are majorly perspective, right? Don't forget that all the things we've shared are all perspective, right? It doesn't mean that you are better than others, and it doesn't mean that others are better than you at any point in time. It just means that you have to focus on doing that which is right to achieve the results that you expect to achieve at that point in time in your organization, so you can produce better results and achieve better results also at that point in time. So thank you very much. Any questions and feedback? I can take your questions now. I also like to use this opportunity to recommend some of our executive programs to you. Our leadership development programs, our strategic planning retreats, and our organizational development programs as much as possible. That these particular programs will help you to have perspective in understanding leadership from various angles and various ways. So you can see it very well and then appreciate the value of some of these particular leadership programs that we have recommended. So my name is, sorry, if I go to that. Yes, so I'll say question and answers. Again, my name remains Joel Omike. So if you have any questions, feedback, or concerns, we can share those particular thoughts and then help you to orchestrate your leadership journey as you make progress and walk forward. All right. So as we progress and end this session, let me just share one test for you. Let me give you a particular test. It's a logical reasoning that helps you to think out of the box. And let's see if you can think through the answers at this point in time. Okay, which figure comes next in this particular sequence? So you have the first sequence, second sequence, third sequence, fourth sequence, and fifth sequence. What will be the next sequence at this point in time? Is this A, B, C, D, or E? Choose one.
Let's see.
Which one do you choose?
Still thinking. Give me a few seconds more.
Okay, so one thing you will notice. Yes.
It looks to me like it's going to be. Oops. D.
So let's answer it by elimination. The answer is not B, and the answer is not D, because this shape is not part of the shape given.
The shapes, yeah.
So the answer is not B, and the answer is not D. Okay. So we are left with A, C, and E to choose from. For one, you will notice that you will notice that the shape that is colored or the shaded shape, in every case, is a shape that has the highest number of sides. This one has 4 sides. This one has 3 sides. This one has 5 sides. This one has less than 5 sides. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. This one has less than 5 sides. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. This one has less than. So the answer is 1, that the shape colored has more sides than the other areas. This instantly eliminates E. So we are left with A and C at this point in time.
Okay. I was still with A.
Beautiful. Now, if you look at the second principles that we have in this particular case study, that will help us to answer it. It says the shape with the most number of sides within each square is the shaded one, as the case may be. All right. Say the last shape in each sequence starts as the beginning in the next sequence. Take, for example, it says this one here is the same shape that is starting here. Is that not so?
Okay, that's true.
This one that is ending here is the same one that is starting here. And this one that is ending here is also the same one starting here. And this one ending here is one starting here. So pick a shape that is started by this.
Okay.
And that gives us instantly E and B, as the case may be. And then the second case study says that the shape with the most number of sides inside the box that is shaded, that's the correct one. So here is 4, but this one has more than 4. So this one should have been shaded. This is 5, this one has more than 5. So our answer is going to be B. That's called logical reasoning. It's part of the things they use to help us to see how much we are reasoning through certain things. Okay, that's just to give you a brain teaser as we wrap up and end our session. Thank you very much for your time and feedback so far.
Thank you for the discourse.
Hello, sir. Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, if immediately you say we should think about through the quiz you brought, my battery just went off. So I just